The Tulsa King. Let's talk about Tulsa King episode 3. That's right. We're 3 episodes in now. A show I really liked how it started. I thought episode 2 was a major slowdown and kind of got into, Dwight, Sylvester Stallone's Dwight gotten all soft and squishy about his daughter and kind of meandered a little bit. This episode kind of picks it up a little bit, picks it up a couple notches. Right now, we're going to ramp it up a little bit and see Dwight is up against some stuff here. We got to figure out what's going on. So we do have a little more backstory as well with the ATF and Stacy's character as well. So we have that. Of course, we have the driving test because, Dwight has been in prison for 25 years. He's out. He didn't have proper ID, didn't have a bank account. He lives in a cash world, so he had to get a debit card, and he has to go for a driving test. So some of these things are finally coming to a head, which is good because 3 episodes in, we need to have little things kind of get resolved and move on, but also kind of keep moving it forward. So Dwight is in Tulsa. He's trying to navigate life there as well. There is an interesting dynamic where they're setting up for this big festival there, and there's this white horse that just walked down the street, by the way, which kind of creates just this weird nuance. The show keeps doing just odd things at times, which I'm not quite sure I understand why they keep doing those things. And it doesn't really have any major relevancy. It's almost like a little artsy fartsy moment in this case. But the Woodstock Festival, which, by the way, they joke about not knowing what Woodstock is because they're all young. And the Grace girl who was in the place when he punches the guy in the face with the metal drinking cup. She talks about being triggered, and he's like, wait, what are you talking about? So anyway, so they end up going down the avenue of Dwight's next venture, and that will be nitrous, this gas, and they're selling it for like $10 thing. So Dwight, of course, is like super good at numbers. So he's immediately trying to figure out how to hijack this market to make a buck, and how many tanks they would need, how to buy it in bulk. He talks to the bartender, which is Sam Flynn, right? It's Garrett Hudlin running the bartender at the restaurant that he goes to. So that piece is going. And then you have, of course, Dwight getting ready for the driving test. They're talking about money, and Tyson's like wanting to be part of the mob and where you see me in 5 years and those kinds of things, right? And then we get to the driving test. And man, it's great. This little Weasley guy, Paul, is the driving instructor. And I have to be honest, Paul really does sell it. I gotta be honest. It really made me laugh quite a bit. I had a good time with Paul. It doesn't take long for the action to kick in, and there's basically an attempted murder on the SUV. And Paul is literally like squealing about, I gotta go to the hospital. And Dwight he's chasing after this person in the SUV. He has his hand pushing Paul's face down in the seat to keep him safe. There's blood everywhere at points. He ends up T-boning the person, and then takes Paul's blood off his face to write down part of the tag. I was telling you, man, I wish we could revel in the moment, but the show does this sort of like in the middle of the meat of the episode. So we kind of move on past it instead of it being like the cliffhanger for the next episode of like, how does he get the tag? Of course, he uses Paul, right? Anyway, so that's the element that and he calls back. He thinks it's the New York guy because Vince is the dude that he punches in the face, the capo. Of course, he should have got him killed, but he ends up coming up with a $100,000 payoff. But he thinks, well, so there's a little bit of some real life mafioso stuff that's kind of playing out a little bit. And then Dwight. Oh man, Dwight. It's the little things of Dwight. The problem is the show centers too much on just Stallone, and the show is not evolving into something bigger. It's not evolving into Breaking Bad or Boardwalk Empire or Sopranos, like that, where you had a lot of characters that you really love. Like you don't really have major affinity for these extra characters because it's just like these great Dwight things that just keep happening. Everything else is just sort of like meh, right? And that's kind of the problem with the show. But he has a scene where he's bringing flowers to Paul in the hospital. He's giving him a ton of cash. It's like it's like it's like pain and suffering, right, for putting you in this mess. And by the way, I need you to look up the DMV, look up this thing. But he takes the flowers and he goes over and gets a plastic urinal thing, like this little plastic urinal thing, and he uses this to put the flower. I was like, see, that was clever. That was good. And we don't have to have a ha-ha gag. We just have to have something like he is a fish out of water. He is out of his element in every situation, nearly every scene. I liked it. So then Dwight tries to fire Tyson and say, no, you can't be my driver. This would have gotten you killed. Imagine if you'd gotten shot, whatever. So it kind of coincides to Tyson, the conflict he's had with his dad. And, no, I'm going to pursue this. This is what I'm doing. This is what I want to do. So, and it was really kind of, it's handled fun too, because he says, you're going to take this SUV back, get us a new one. Tell him it's a lemon. It's all full of holes, bullet holes, which makes me laugh, by the way. Anyway, so they find the vehicle where they hit the guy, the driver he finds like a couple of clues, leads him to a ranch. He meets that person, and it kind of just, that's kind of where it kind of plays out. And then he's staking it out of who this person could have been, that kind of thing. So I got to be honest, the best parts of the episode, and then it kind of like just kind of drags itself out into the next episode, which almost like it feels like it should have just been restructured so that the ending would have been, like I said, the blood off Paul's face would have been the best part of the ending. But the other part of the episode has to do with Stacy and the ATF. They have this backstory about following like 1%ers. There's like a house that blows up, and who they're tracking, who they're not tracking, and all of that. And at least for now, we don't care. Like, we don't care. It's only Dwight's show. It's only Stallone's show. Nothing else is allowed to really matter. So until it matters, we, the audience, aren't really invested in any of those characters. They're basically just a lot of white supremacist stereotypes. There's nothing of remotely interest to any of them, in my opinion. But it was fine. It filled some time. You see Stacy is trying to be good at her job and all that and whatever. And she sees Dwight again, and they sleep together again, that kind of stuff. So there's still that kind of going on. But that's it. Episode 3. Again, the show is good. I'm still equating it to Old Man, which was on Hulu. It's sort of like this good, sometimes really good show that centers around a character that is done really well. There's some universe building, and it's all okay. Now, Old Man got kind of like too complicated for its own britches. And right now, Tulsa King is like not getting complicated enough. Like, we need more structure around this little kind of like tension between him and the dad, the relationship on and off again with Stacy, the bartender scenes. All of it is just very generic, vanilla stuff I could care less about. Everything is about Dwight. We need more of some of the structure of the other stuff, some scenes that cut away to the New York Mafia. These other players that supposedly matter, they get name dropped or whatever, and then kind of forgotten about. We need to deal with those. That's what I would like to see happen. I don't know yet. I haven't watched the next episode. It hasn't dropped yet, I don't think. But anyway, that's my take. Let me know. What do you guys think? I know I've been getting some interesting comments back and forth on this. Love to hear your thoughts. So thanks so much. I'm Pop. Thanks for watching. I'm Ross.